Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to the session today on International Women's Day. As you join, please do click on the QR code here. Follow Academic Careers on LinkedIn. We're putting more and more great stuff out there on our Academic Careers page on LinkedIn. And if you're not following me on LinkedIn, please follow me there too. I look at and respond to all my DMs. That's why I get no work done all day. So let's go to the next slide here, and I'm going to shortly introduce Katie and Darcy on the team as we head into the next slide here. So welcome, everyone. Darcy, let me hand this over to you. Darcy first, and then I'll hand it over to Katie. I'm going to shut up a little bit here on International Women's Day and take a back seat, as I should always be doing.
Welcome, everybody. It's so exciting to be here with you today and to see all of the activity in the chat already. This is fantastic. If you haven't done so already, grab a notepad, a pen, a keyboard, however you want to take notes, because we will be sharing some strategies and tips that we hope will help accelerate your career today. Heads up, again, Alan mentioned, I'll just reiterate, Alexis and Alyssa will be focused on the content in the chat, answering questions, throwing links in there for you. That way we can stay focused on the content. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A section down below by the chat, but all questions in to the Q&A. That way we can make sure that they get seen and responded to at the end. And then stay tuned because we have a very special offer at the end of our workshop. Today is International Women's Day. I'm so excited about that. And in that theme, we decided to cover topics that are relevant to everybody, and especially so to women. We hope you find this talk helpful and informative. I'd like to introduce Alan, the founder and CEO of Academic Careers. We both worked at Google, but not together. And he's created a program here that's incredibly effective at helping people land their next job. Alan, back to you.
Thanks, Darcy. Some of you might know me while others are meeting me for the first time here. As a reminder or an introduction, I happen to be a top 1% interviewer and a top 1% candidate, being on both sides of the table thousands of times, literally thousands of times. I've been fascinated by talent acquisition for decades, and I just geek out over this sort of stuff. And when I decided to leave the corporate world and start my own business, I chose to focus on an area that, one, I'm good at, two, I enjoy doing, and three, that's really needed in the world. And that's why I founded Academic Careers with the mission to accelerate 1 million careers by 2040. So we have a lot of work to do. Now I'm leveraging my talents, experience, and network to help others accelerate their careers. And I want to share strategies and hacks for you to learn from my lived experience, especially from some of the stupid mistakes I've made along the way. I'm particularly intrigued about how poor the interview process is, and frankly, it's really not going to change anytime soon. Because of that, though, it happens to be a very beatable process. And if you apply the right framework, and if you maintain the right mindset. Today, you're going to learn from some of my successes and failures, along with Katie and Darcy as well, experiences from industry experts and insiders, and from actual results achieved by our academic clients. All of this is intended to shorten your job search, or like I call it, job acquisition. And I like doing things fast. I'm a New Yorker. We like to get you a job fast. And on average, we get people a job in 3.47 months. But now I'd like to introduce you to Katie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie. I'm a program manager here, and I was a program manager at Google as well. Before that, I spent much of my life in hospitality and massage. I actually started Academia as a client because I was interviewing terribly, like an insecure robot, and generally spinning my wheels. I learned so much about how this game is played. When I joined, I saw my interviewing dramatically improve when I started working with a coach, and I saw how much this program helped other people. So there was an opportunity to join this team, and I jumped on it, and now I love the ability to help other people through this process. So connecting people with strategies and resources that are going to help them are some of my absolute favorite things. I am excited to share some ideas that will hopefully move the needle for you today. And now I'm going to kick it back to Darcy so she can better introduce herself.
Thank you, Katie. I worked at Google as well for 15 years. I've owned 3 different companies. The first one was called Darcy Camp. It was a summer camp for kids. I ran that for 14 years. I've been a massage therapist and had a massage practice for 18 years. And I also had a chocolate company for 10 years. I really love to take messy, complicated problems and build efficient and effective solutions with high impact. I'm passionate about self-care and supporting and lifting other people, which leads us to today's talk. Thank you again for joining us. We're thrilled to be here, and we hope you find value in what we have to say. Let's jump in. Breaking barriers and accelerating careers can mean a lot. We're going to focus on 3 key areas. First, the way we can limit ourselves through imposter syndrome. Second, the way we can navigate situations that limit us and the stories we tell ourselves. And then third, last but not least, how we make sure that we're paid what our worth. All right, how's that sound to everybody? Let's own our careers and get paid our worth. Give me an emoji if you are with me.
See lots of emojis there. Nice. All about the emojis.
It's all about the emojis. All right, before we launch into imposter syndrome, we want to clarify 2 things. First of all, not everybody suffers from imposter syndrome. And second of all, we want to just acknowledge that there could actually be discrimination going on. So with that said, let's jump in to this messy topic. Why are we starting with imposter syndrome? It's because it's really important to face it head on. It's elemental in being an advocate for yourself. When you're networking or in a job interview, you need to be able to sell the product that's you. If you're not 100% bought in, that's going to make it super difficult.
Here are some really common ways that imposter syndrome manifests. Let us know by number in the chat if you've ever been any of these people. Number 1, the perfectionist, one who feels shame if any task is completed less than perfectly. Number 2, the expert, one who feels failure for a minor lack of knowledge. Or number 3, the soloist, a person who feels shame if they need to ask for help. Number 4, the natural genius, someone who feels failure if they aren't immediately an expert at a particular skill. Or number 5, the superhuman, one who feels shame if they fall short of any of the multiple tasks they may be juggling. If you've ever been any or all of these people, that does not mean that those feelings get to run the show. It is not who you are. It is simply the story you're telling yourself today.
Now, Forbes says that 70% of people will experience this at some point in their lives. And as you can see in the chat, there's lots of different numbers, lots of combinations in there. So this slide has some of the statements we commonly hear from people coming into our program that are having issues with their confidence, despite having some amazing backgrounds. We commonly hear, I don't know what to apply for. I don't know where to start. I just feel lost. I don't even know what my job title would be. I don't know how to talk about my experience. I don't feel I'm qualified for anything. For example, I don't like being seen and I really don't like talking in front of people. And obviously here I am. That said, I'm doing both those things right now. I'm breathing because in my drive to build Kadima and my passion for supporting and lifting people like you is greater, and it's way more important than me being uncomfortable. I'd much rather just be uncomfortable and get you this information. So my hope for you all is this. I hope that you have your values and your goals determine how you show up for your job search. And it's important to recognize the difference between facts and the stories we tell ourselves. Byron Katie has a great set of questions to ask yourself when you're faced with an emotion that you know is your anxiety, it's your worry, it's your imposter syndrome. Next time you're in that space, just ask yourself, is it true? Can I absolutely know it's true? Who would I be without that thought? So here's an example. The story I was telling myself when I had been in the job search for way longer than I thought I should have been, the story I'm telling myself is that I won't get a job because I don't bring enough value. All right, is that true? Actually, when I look back at my performance reviews, when I look back at the increasing responsibility I was given at Google, when I look back at the amazing recognition I was given for what I had done and created and built, I just know it's not true. And then I have to ask myself, okay, can I absolutely know that my statement is true? And it's just not true. I have factual evidence that it's not true. All right, then if I know that it's not true, then I should ask myself, who would I be without that thought? It is so resoundingly unstoppable. And that story, when we were talking about this, really reminded me of one of our clients, Elizabeth. She joined our program last fall, and she was quick to call out her mindset was going to be her biggest challenge. She'd been a senior VP at her last company, but she didn't really believe that she'd ever be at a FANG company. However, she showed up, she worked with her coach, she attended the weekly practice sessions, and through networking, she ended up with an offer at Amazon. With practice, coaching, and time, she allowed herself to believe it and to move through it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that networking that Elizabeth used in just a little bit.
So there are all kinds of ways to approach dealing with imposter syndrome, but in terms of career acceleration, we're making the following recommendations because they will both boost your confidence and be time well spent in your job search. So first, identify your strengths. This is going to help you understand why you are particularly awesome, and it's going to help focus your efforts on roles you're a strong candidate for. Then work your star stories. This is going to help you understand and own the part you played in your professional successes, and articulating these are going to help you stand out in front of decision makers. And we're going to get more into star stories in just a little bit. And finally, practice and practice more. When you practice, you're going to be more likely to come across authentic and fluid, and you're going to say things that are helpful instead of over talking or forgetting or saying something distracting. You're going to be more confident and you're going to interview better. So first up, let's talk about strengths. Reflect on your greatest strengths. Write them down and identify which of those you want to highlight most in networking, conversations, and interviews. It's important you're clear on what they are because then you can articulate them confidently and make sure that you're telling a story about yourself that's memorable. If you don't know where to start or you just need a boost, try emailing 5 people that you have enjoyed working with before and that know your work well. Ask them to email you telling you what they think your 3 biggest strengths are. Then I want you to analyze those responses, maybe put them in a spreadsheet. Ask yourself, are there any common themes here? Is there anything surprising? Are there any language or examples that are particularly powerful? Now take these answers and answer this question. If your coworkers from your previous jobs were to describe you, what would they say? Let these answers help you in choosing roles to apply for, in making up your star stories, and also to help you when you're having a bad day.
Star stories are going to help you identify what you've done and your role in it and how to talk about it. This is one of the most attended practice sessions that I host. So working with a group or a coach can help you if you get stuck. And you should know these front and back and sideways, inside out, all the ways, so that no matter how it comes up, you can speak about it concisely and authentically.
And star stories are used to answer behavioral-based interview questions. And those interview questions are like anything that starts with, tell me about a time. So examples are, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder, or tell me about a time when you had to deliver something under a tight priority. I recommend people spend about 3 minutes on each star story, 30 seconds on the situation, 30 seconds on the situation and task combined, and about 2 minutes on the actions, and then wrap it up with about 30 seconds on the results at the end. And if you don't know what star questions to expect in the interview, I'm going to show you a little trick here about how to anticipate what questions are going to come your way. This is where ChatGPT comes in. Hopefully folks have heard of ChatGPT, using ChatGPT or using Gemini or using Claude or some other AI learning model. Looking at what you see up here, I put the job description here from Google, and I put a prompt in based on my resume and the job description. Give me 10 star stories to respond to a behavioral-based interview questions from Google. And when I did that, this is what ChatGPT spit out. Tell me about a time when you had to deliver actionable intelligence to a customer's security or operational environment. What was the outcome? And all these sort of questions are the exact sort of questions that you should anticipate, not just at Google, but at Salesforce, at Adobe, at JP Morgan Chase, at Pfizer. All these companies essentially ask behavioral-based interview questions, and these are very preparable. Darcy, back to you.
Thank you. Keeping me focused. Like public speaking, interviewing is a skill set that gets better with practice. The biggest mistakes that I see in our practice sessions are they come in and they start to answer the question. They just go on and in way too much detail. And honestly, it just becomes super boring. So when you are well practiced, you're going to sound more confident. You're going to be more confident. Your answers are going to flow. You'll appear authentic and engaging. Something I also think is worth noting is that when you are prepared with your talking points that are concise and effective in an interview situation or otherwise, you have a better chance of controlling the narrative and keeping the conversation headed in the direction you want it to go. Meaning, if somebody starts talking over you or changes the subject, It's easier for you to bring it back into focus where you need it to go. Rebecca here from Ted Lasso, awesome show, by the way. She's showing us her power pose. Here is some of the hacks that Katie and I love that will help increase your confidence and calm your anxiety. First of all, has anyone, show me an emoji, has anyone seen Amy Cuddy's TED Talk? Your body language may shape who you are. Are you all familiar with that? If not, we're going to throw the link. Alyssa just put the link in the chat. Grab that, watch it later on today. It's fantastic. Her point is to hold a power pose for 2 minutes before your job interview. She walks you through the data and the chemical changes going on in your body. Doing this makes you more confident. Also, she talks about how a small square of dark chocolate and exercise can help boost your confidence as well. So when I was interviewing, I literally did all three before every single interview. And honestly, I did it all today too, because here I am talking to you all, and that makes me super anxious. So I did my power pose.
Hey, Darcy, I know you may not have your chocolate here, but can you show everyone your power pose?
Oh, baby, nailing it.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, and focusing on your breathing is just about always a good idea. A couple different techniques here. Box breathing, it is inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Rinse and repeat. I highly recommend doing that for about a minute the next time you're feeling really anxious. Also, for anybody that follows the Huberman Lab or other wellness accounts, you may have heard of the physiological sigh. It's a double inhale followed by an exhale. Looks like this. Why don't we all do that together? Ready? So inhale. There's a lot of research behind that one as well, and I hope everyone feels better.
Okay. Have any of these tips and hacks been helpful for you so far? Seeing some thumbs up, some hearts, some resounding yeses. That's awesome. All right, now we're getting into some exciting parts. Navigating bias, don't opt out of opportunity.
Cool. So biases exist in the hiring process. The hiring process is not fair, but it is fairly predictable. And when you understand where those biases reside and where it shows up in the hiring process, there are ways to circumnavigate it. If you look in this slide here, there are 3 primary channels where you can get your resume seen and get considered for a job. 1, cold application. So anyone is eligible to cold apply on LinkedIn or on a first-party job site. What the research shows is if you look at a job description with about 10 different requirements, if the candidate can only do 8 of them and not the other 2, women will often opt themselves out and not send in the application. Whereas with those same job requirements, if a guy looks at it and can only do 3 of those 10, the guy's still going to get their application in. And so you will see a lot of bias in terms of who is cold applying. So right there, if you're seeing a job application that you can do most of, but not all, just get your application in, circumvent that bias. The second main channel where people can get considered for a job is through the recruitment channel. You might be getting inbound requests on LinkedIn or email and someone reaching out to you for a job. Recruiters and other headhunters are reaching out to you based on your past schools, past companies, past titles you've had. But you know what? There's not the same representation of women and people of color at all companies and all titles. And if you go up the pyramid, there's less and less women and underrepresented populations there. The groups that are getting recruited are by definition biased, a biased sample set. So the recruiting channel is also another one that will limit you if you just wait to get recruited. Third, referrals. I'm a white dude. I live in Brooklyn. Most of my friends happen to be white dudes in Brooklyn just because of proximity and because of the groups that I hang out with. Not that I'm prohibited from hanging out with people outside of my group and organization, but because of that, if you are looking to get a referral and you're trying to get a referral into Google, there are only about 4% of people at Google that are Black. And there are only about 35% of people at Google that are women. And then if you put in that intersectionality of a Black woman and trying to get referred in through that channel, you are going to be limiting yourself. So because of that, what we teach at Kadima and what I highly encourage is reach out, build those referrals, build those relationships outside of your typical channels. So barriers exist for all these channels. And the one that I want to focus on the most is the one that is the most effective, the referral channel. Only 7% of people choose to use a referral, but 40% of hires come through that channel. Earning referrals are best done through informational interviews. Sometimes these are called coffee chats or virtual chats, and these are typically one-on-one conversations where you, as an ambitious professional, are seeking a better job, are interviewing others who are in roles or companies where you want to get into. The goal of these conversations is not to ask for that job directly, but rather, what I like to say and what we like to say at Kadima, learn and earn. Learn about the person, learn about how they got into that role, learn about where they see your background fitting within that organization. Ask lots of questions, listen more than you talk. Don't forget, you only have one mouth and two ears. So listen at a 2-to-1 ratio versus talking, and offer to help them as well, and have a two-sided conversation. At the end, one of the best questions that I suggest that you ask people is, thank you so much for the time. Is there a way that I can help you? And by doing that, through the power of reciprocity, the power of listening attentively, you will more likely earn a referral. And the reason why I don't say to ask for a referral, but instead wait until you actually earn it, is because if you ask people for a referral, almost everybody's going to say yes to your face, but less than half of them are actually going to follow through with an effective referral for you. At Academic Careers, we coach our clients how to ask those right questions that will elicit nuggets of wisdom that often lead to earning advocacy at those target companies. And those advocates are pure gold. They'll open new doors for you and get your resume past the ATS and the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is the recruiter. You want to get past the recruiter, and you want to get your resume seen and in the hands of the decision maker, also known as the hiring manager. Darcy, back to you.
Yeah, it reminds me of Nico, who was networking, but not really in a targeted way. Kadima helped him network way more effectively by focusing his efforts on companies that he was targeting. Using our scripts for his networking, he was able to turn informational interviews into boosters, and then those boosters helped him get interviews. In fact, he ended up with 2 offers, and he told us that he owed it to the networking he learned here at Kadima. It was awesome.
So when we're talking about networking, we're mostly aiming for quality contacts, people that have met you and can help open doors. So obviously reach out to old or loose contacts to reconnect and make those relationships new again. One of our clients reconnected with an old manager, and that person became a booster for her, which led to her becoming a director at Skechers. You should also be reaching out beyond your network to people at your target companies that don't know you yet. There are lots of ways to build authentic, effective, and mutually beneficial relationships when doing this poll. Pointing out uncommon commonalities, thank you, Adam Grant, and naming them when you reach out is a pretty effective way to start a conversation. Companies, schools, even cities you have in common are a great place to start. For example, what I would do in a connection request, so this is going to be short, is I write, "Hi, Darcy, I see you also used to work at Google. I love connecting with former colleagues and would love to be connected here." Ideally, and I try to mention a small detail from their profile that either interested me or that we have in common to show I actually read it. And ultimately, the more uncommon the detail, the more likely they are to engage. And here's a tip: don't give people tasks when you're already asking for their time. That means make it as easy as possible to work with you, work around their schedule, and do not send someone your resume unless they have asked for it. So you're looking to establish an advocate for you at each of your target companies, someone that offers to refer you and might even reach out to a hiring manager on your behalf.
The next biggest area of bias we see is in compensation. So let's talk about getting paid what you're worth. I'm showing this graph here, or this table here, which is probably not surprising, but people are not paid fairly. And is that news to anybody? Is anybody surprised that people are not paid fairly? Let me see emojis here if anyone is surprised to hear that people are not paid fairly. See a lot of surprised faces here. Yeah, not surprised. Especially Black professionals are earning only 76 cents on the dollar compared to their white counterparts. And women also happen to earn 76 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterparts. And I've seen different numbers in different places. This is coming from the US Department of Labor. And let's not even discuss how putrid the pay discrepancy is when you sit at that intersectionality, for instance, a Black woman. But what if I told you that there are ways as a candidate to level the playing field? The way you do that is shut the hell up. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that in the nicest way. Candidates will often disclose information too early in the process. And as candidates, we suffer from an asymmetry of information. Even if you look at levels.fyi, Blind, Glassdoor, or talk to a few friends, you do not have the same level of insight into compensation data that I did from the inside during my days inside the walls of Google, Salesforce, American Express, Facebook, and more. I had access to really depth of data there that you do not have externally. Therefore, don't share your compensation expectations and never share what you're currently earning. In fact, in most jurisdictions, most states, and several countries, it's illegal for companies to ask what you're currently earning. So, how do you deflect, defer, and decline to talk about compensation? The first way is on a job application. Often on a job application, they will ask you how much you're looking to earn. The first thing that you should do is skip over the question. If they require you to submit some answer into that field, you type in the word negotiable. If for some reason they're requiring you to use actual numbers for their data validation processes, put in the number 1. No one is going to turn down your application if you are a good fit for the role just because you put a number 1 in. And then you can talk to the recruiter, and we'll show on the next slide how to deflect and defer and decline with a human. So once you pass that first hurdle, now you next talk to the recruiter, and the recruiter screen is almost always going to dig into what you want to make. The reason why the recruiter asks about what you want to make is they want to make their job easier. And it's not your job to make the recruiter job easier. It's not your job to make the company's job easier. It is your job to get a job and get paid what you're worth. When a recruiter talks to you and asks you how much are you looking to make or what sort of compensation you're seeking, take a picture of this slide. We call this our money slide, not just because it's going to save you money, but this is the most popular slide that we have in our whole deck. Take a picture of this. If you want to post it on LinkedIn and tag me, awesome. I'll help amplify it. But when asked for how much you want to earn, just say first, I'd like to get paid in line with the scope and impact of the role. If for some reason they probe further, which rarely they do, say, hey, I'm really excited to work at American Express and don't expect money to be a concern. If they probe further, I'm not really familiar with how Stripe compensation philosophy is. Would you mind explaining it to me? Jot it down, say, oh, that's interesting. It's very different than how I've previously been compensated. Can I get back to you? And you will never need to get back to them. If you effectively deflect, defer, and decline to discuss compensation, congratulations. When you do land that offer, you finally have leverage. The company is then telling you that you're their top choice. You might not be their only choice, but at this stage, the company has revealed their cards that they want to hire you for the job. So now you have the upper hand for the first time in the whole interview process. And here are a few tips of what to do and what to do as you negotiate to get more. Be polite, be respectful, be appreciative. Always ask for more. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And share selective but rational data points that paint your case, put your case in a better light. Things to avoid doing. Do not share past compensation unless you think it's going to work for you, and very rarely will it. Do not negotiate over email or text. You want to have a face-to-face conversation, either in person or more likely over a Zoom or over a phone call. You want to build that rapport. And I've seen this happen a number of times from the inside. Do not try to play off the recruiter, off of the hiring manager. It will come back to bite you in the ass. And if after you look at all these tips and strategies that we just shared, and you need some extra support in negotiating for what you're worth, we at Kadima Careers offer negotiation services. All you need to do is DM me on LinkedIn or email us at kadimacareers.com once you received a verbal offer, and we provide a free second opinion, no strings attached. And whether you work with us or do it on your own, there's absolutely no downside for asking for more, as long as you're doing it in a polite and respectful manner. And for any of you who are seeking a better job because you aren't happy with your compensation, this is the single biggest moment in your career to significantly boost your earnings ability. And we call this high impact, high leverage negotiation at this stage. I'd like to share how one of our clients executed these strategies to a T. Susan, that's not her name, she wants her name masked, but she was unfortunately displaced by American Express after a 15+ year career. And that's a euphemism American Express uses when they fire someone, displaced. She was a high performer. She held 9 roles, including getting promoted 5 times over her 15-year tenure at Amex. Nonetheless, as with all of us, Susan was employed at will at American Express, and they used that will to displace Susan. Anyhow, Susan began working with us at Kadima, and she had several interviews lined up, but was most excited by this one at Google. Early on in the conversation for this role as head of scaled sales at Google, the recruiter asked Susan what she expected for comp. As we advised her, Susan deflected the conversation, and we also helped Susan prepare for those Google interviews, so she nailed them. Several weeks later, because it does take a long time, especially for a level 7 role that she was landing, Susan finally received her offer. It was an attractive package hitting the $400,000 mark, $40,000 more than Susan ever made before. But Susan wanted more, and she deserved more. And we wanted more for her too. We worked with her and coached her to engage Google with a polite, informed, and respectful negotiation method. And Susan was able to negotiate for $143,000 more in her first year compensation. Plus, Susan, who is based in Florida, who needed to relocate to California for this role, was able to negotiate the timing for that at a time that worked for her and her family. So she wasn't only able to land this amazing job at Google, but she also got paid what she was worth, more than she ever did, through some simple and effective negotiation strategies. Now that we've equipped you with these valuable strategies, you might be wondering how you can best implement them to get your next job quickly. Imagine having expert guidance on how to use all these strategies that Darcy talked about, that Katie talked about, that I talked about to get that best job quickly. That's where Kadima's 2 coaching programs come in. The strategies that we discussed today are just a small part in our overall system that's proven to get you a better job quickly, confidently, and with lots more money. What you see here is our proprietary growth framework. And what it includes is first establishing your goals. Where do you want to go? Because if you don't know where you want to go, it's damn hard to get there. Secondly, how to leverage your strengths to get the best opportunities for you. Outreach, we talked a little bit about that here, but really building those relationships, earning those advocates at those companies where you want to work. Fourth is working the system, understanding how to apply. And we talked about those 3 different points of entry, from the cold application to being recruited, and then the most important one of earning those referrals. Next up, training and tenacity. Interviews are very predictable, are very easy to prepare for, but you do need to train for those. And importantly, you do need to be tenacious because you are going to get rejected a lot. And finally, once you secure that job, and only once you secure that job, that is when you engage in high impact negotiation. But don't just take my word for it. I'd like to share a little video here from a recent Kadima career member. Aishwarya was unemployed and having a hard time at landing a job, but she set her targets at top companies, including a lot of the FANGs. But now, in honor of International Women's Day and me just talking too much, I'm going to shut up and let Aishwarya speak here.
End of July, first week of August, I think I started. And by last week of August, I had an offer purely because I followed everything that he said to a dot. That Excel sheet was my Bible. Every day I woke up and looked at it. And yeah, I started my job with Amazon on September 18th.
Awesome. Sorry about the technical difficulties there, but hopefully you heard a little bit of Aishwarya here. She got a job at Amazon in a month, but her results are not typical. Getting a job within 1 month is quick even for us. Our average right now, it takes 3.47 months, but landing a job at Amazon and other top companies is quite typical of our clients. In the last few weeks alone, clients landed jobs at Amazon, Workday, Salesforce, Microsoft, Noom, and more. Oh, Monday.com just came in also. And now that you've learned how Kadima Careers has helped Aishwarya and countless others, would you like to hear a little bit about how Kadima can help you accelerate your career? Give me another left-handed thumbs up or a hell yeah in the chat if you'd like to learn more. I see lots of thumbs there, lots of colored thumbs, all right. And let me go to the next one. Sorry. Got it. Oh, Katie, this is you actually. Let me hand this back to you.
Yes, I just want to tell a quick story. When I was looking for a job that stuck with me, I was listening to some executive coaches on a podcast, and one of the women at the end had talked about how her father in law, a retired old school C suite HR, had said to her, leadership coaching, why would anyone pay for that? I got that at the bar after work. And it's an interesting point. Like many people have been successful being able to leverage knowledge from others that have been there before. And if you don't have access to the bar after work or some equivalent, expecting to know how to do everything all by yourself is a very tall order. Oftentimes, learning from others is the fastest way to get ahead. It is worth seeking out. So, if you found any value in what you have heard today, when it comes to landing your next role, we really hope that you consider Kadima's programs as an investment in yourself to get ahead faster.
And as I go through this more, as a heads up, do put your questions in the Q&A because we are going to be asking questions soon. But as a reminder there, we're going to start looking at those soon. And all of our programs come with our proprietary job acquisition method digital course. This course comes with nearly 10 hours of video, worksheets, scripts, templates, examples of real actual interviews from top companies in the world. And we regularly update this course with new information and enhanced strategies. And you get lifetime access to this digital program. Our most popular program is our group coaching program. Here you'll join our community of other ambitious and supportive professionals on a similar journey as you. Our group coaching program includes weekly group sessions where you engage in live sessions with me and experienced career coaches, where you get personalized guidance, actionable insights, and real-time feedback. You get peer support. Connect with professionals facing similar challenges, offering support and sharing insights, and a great way to practice informational interviews. You're going to get a customized action plan. We're going to help you build a personalized action plan tailored to your goals. You're going to get access to a resource hub where you get proven scripts, templates, tools to enhance your search, and these will save you time and help you avoid some of the mistakes that I made along the way. You're going to get access to exclusive community events. You see the calendar here, like our TMAY, our Tell Me About Yourself, and our Star Stories practice sessions. You're going to get accountability and partnership. You're going to get paired with an accountability buddy if you would like that, and you'll have support and motivation to stay on track. And Kadima ain't all about just me and my ideas. While I built Kadima on my own initially, with my passion to help others, I knew it wasn't going to just be me. So I've always been open to better ideas from a diverse set of industry experts. I recruited some of the best career experts in the world to empower our clients to achieve their goals. We have coaches that have been Amazon bar raisers. We have others who are seasoned recruiters across regions and industries, and other coaches who currently work at Google, Salesforce, and even at LinkedIn. They're world-class and they get results for our clients. And like me, they get energized and empowered by empowering others to succeed in their careers. Our group coaching program is a 6-month program, which is generally more than enough to help you get that better job. Again, it takes our clients on average 3.47 months. At the very least, it will provide you with all the building blocks and confidence to land more interviews, more offers, and make more money. And while I won't point out everything on this slide, I do want to call out a couple of key highlights. One, you're going to get an onboarding call with Darcy. So you've seen Darcy here, you're going to get a one-on-one with Darcy. Secondly, when you land that better job, and you will, you'll receive $1,000 off our usual cost of our negotiation services. And negotiations is one of my favorite parts of my job. On average, we get people $38,000 more, with a range of $5,500 to the $143,000. And I'm trying to beat that record, by the way. So I'm looking forward to working with someone to beat that record. And once you get that verbal offer, I get on the phone with you, we start talking about strategy, and we will get you more money. All of these benefits add up much more than $12,000, but we aren't charging that. And we don't even charge half of that $6,000, which what some of our competitors are charging. Instead, the entire investment is less than $2,500. And think about that another way. Say you're trying to land a job for $180,000, and that's fairly typical for our clients. That translates into a monthly pay of $15,000 a month. If we can get you a better job quicker by even 1 month, how much would that be worth to you? If that isn't enough value for you just yet, you're going to love the next slide. To reward people who are ready to own their career, we're offering a special bonus, and we intentionally do this for people that act quickly because we know customers that act quickly get results quickly. And this is only for seriously ambitious professionals who are ready to get started now. If you scan this code here, sign up before the end of day today, you get an exclusive mindset, action plan, and positioning call with me. These, what we call career mapping calls, are typically only available to our personalized coaching clients. They're an intensive and exhaustive one-on-one session with me where I'm going to ask you a series of questions and we will identify what challenges you might have with your mindset, what actions you need to take, and how best to position yourself to get a better job quickly, confidently, and with lots more money. We've never offered this bonus before. So what do you think? And for those of you that might want to spread out those payments, we do offer an after payment feature that will allow you to split those payments out between 6 and 12 months at payments as low as $217. Once you get ready to check out, all you have to do is click on that after pay option and you can see what monthly payment plan options are available for you. All of our programs provide you with accountability, structure, care, feedback, and community. And one of the things I take very seriously about all our Kadima programs is that we put our money where our mouth is. Therefore, everything we offer, all of our programs come with our industry-leading 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not convinced that our job acquisition coaching is right for you, just let us know and you'll get your money back. The only thing we'll ask for is some feedback of what we could have been doing better. And now, while most people join our group acquisition coaching program, some people want extra level of support and service. So I do want to proactively address a question we often get. If you want to work with a dedicated coach, get one-on-one access to me, and get even more support with your job acquisition efforts, we also offer personalized coaching. It's a bit different than our group coaching. Can I tell you a little bit about this program? Anyone want to hear it? Can I get at least one yes, a couple of thumbs up? See lots of thumbs up. Cool. The two biggest differences in the programs is one, it's a larger investment, and two, you need to apply to this program. And I'll explain why on the next slide. Our personalized job acquisition coaching program comes with everything I shared before in the group coaching program, but with individualized attention and virtually unlimited support. Specifically, some of the features that come with this personalized program, within a week of signing up, you meet with me for that career mapping call where we dive deep into that mindset, action plan, and positioning that is unique to you and your goals. After that call, I recommend a dedicated coach for you to work with. That's your, what we call our career success manager, and they work with you until you get that better job. For individuals that are in the Director Plus level, so executives, we invite you into our executive-only group coaching program. Some of the strategies and methods are slightly different due to the fewer roles available at the top of that pyramid as you rise in your career and the bigger reliance on building relationships to uncover those so-called hidden jobs. And for a limited time, we're not charging any extra for this executive benefit. And for everybody in the program, our negotiation support, which I referred to before, is 100% covered by the program. This includes working directly with me or our negotiating expert coaches that will get on the phone, devise a plan, and get you more money. And just recently, we got a director at Intel $106,000 more. Two other key benefits I want to highlight before we get to the Q&A is our personalized coaching program sets us apart from all other career acceleration coaching in two key ways. One, we offer a better job guarantee. If we take you into this program, we will work with you until you get that better job. We guarantee that. Secondly, we ensure that you're set up for success in your new role through our unique and comprehensive first 90 days of coaching. Not only do we support you hitting the ground running, but this also prevents those limiting beliefs of telling yourself that, oh, I can't get into Google or I can't get into Goldman Sachs. Bullshit. You can get into those companies and we will help you get there and we will help you hit the ground running. To summarize, our personalized coaching program, you get everything in the group coaching program, plus the 100% covered negotiation support, plus the dedicated executive coach, plus direct access to me, plus the better job guarantee, plus the first 90 days of support in the new job. And don't spit out your drink or turn off your monitor right now looking at this $61,000 number on the screen. That's just a conservative estimate of the value we provide, but the investment is not $61,000, not half of that, not even a quarter of that. Instead, the personalized coaching program is less than $10,000, and that's the entire investment that includes everything. This includes getting you the better job, negotiating you the offer, hitting the ground running in those first 90 days. And as a reminder, this is a selective program. So we personally review each applicant and we don't take everyone into this program. And because we work with you until you land that better job, we require that you exhibit a growth mindset, serious motivation, and have tenacious grit. And like our group coaching program, we do offer several payment plans that will fit with you and your personal situation. And we don't only want to offer bonuses for the group coaching program, like we talked about before, to reward the most motivated, ambitious professionals. We're offering a special bonus for those interested in our personalized coaching program. If you're one of the first 5 to get a meeting scheduled with someone on our team, so first 5, scan this quickly. You'll get our exclusive giveaway where I personally will arrange a mock interview with someone at one of your top target companies. In addition to doing the mock interviews with your personalized coach, you will be doing a mock interview with someone from your target companies. That's in addition to the support you'll get from me, your dedicated coach, and our academic community. Would a mock interview with someone at one of your target companies help you? Any right-handed thumbs or left-handed thumbs or claps or hearts or any other emojis there? Okay, it looks like it'll be helpful for a few people. So I hope that you learned a little bit about how to transform a frustrating job search into a confident job acquisition process. And I hate saying job search. I like saying job acquisition that puts the control into your hands. If you'd like to work with me and the Kadima team, I'd love to meet with you and begin accelerating your career as soon as you're ready. But if you aren't ready to take action and land that better job quickly, confidently, and with lots more money, no worries. I'm happy to remain in touch via LinkedIn. And whether you choose to work with us or not, I know that you will get another job. You've done it before meeting me, and you'll do it after. The question really is, how fast do you want to get that better job? How much confidence do you want to have throughout that whole process? And how much more money do you want to make once you land that better job? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darcy for one of my favorite parts here, the Q&A. But before I do that, one last reminder to the several hundred people that are still here. When you do leave this call, there will be a quick survey asking for feedback. I and my team look at every piece of feedback, so please do give us that feedback so that we can learn, we can improve, and we can make these sessions better for you.
Wendy has a question. You're advertising $1,000 for the negotiation fee or off the negotiation fee. What is the cost of the negotiation fee? $1,000 off or what? How does that work?
Great question. So the way our negotiation a la carte program works, if you don't work with us in the personalized coaching, is once you get an offer, we talk to you, we figure out how much more we can get you. So you get an initial offer, say you have an initial offer of $180,000 total comp. If we can get you up to, say, $240,000, $60,000 incremental, that $60,000, we charge 20% of that incremental. So 20% times that 60,000 is 12,000. But as a group member, you save $1,000. So it goes down to 11,000 and you pay that over a 6-month period of time. So it ensures we only charge if we get you more money. And we do not charge anything. And you save $1,000 if you're a group coaching member. And if you're a personalized coaching member, all of that is included. No worry, no need to do any math whatsoever.
Okay, next question. What are the conditions for the 100% money back guarantee?
The conditions are, you just got to, any reason you can ask for a refund. We don't like that to happen. It happens in very few cases, in less than 5% of our customers. And often it's because some big life event came up or they were not ready, the individual was not ready to be held accountable to some of the exercises that we encourage people to do. But all you have to do is ask within the first 30 days and we will get you your money back. No risk on your side.
Quick question from Patrick. Once you have an interview at a company, would you recommend reaching out to contacts that one might have at that company to help put in a good word, or to the hiring managers find that, or do the hiring managers find that off-putting?
Yeah, so there's two different processes of reaching out. Generally, to get your resume seen and to get it seen by a decision maker, you need to usually have a referral to get you considered. But then what we generally teach and train our clients on is to build surround sound support. So after your resume is seen, after you're actually in that interview process, build additional relationships within that organization and see if you can get additional surround sound support, other people within that company pinging the hiring manager of saying, hey, I just met with this woman, Katie. She seems really sharp, really nice woman. And I think you should strongly consider her for the role. So that surround sound helps to tip the scales once you're in the process. But the key aspect first is get in that process through earning a referral.
Nora asks, does this work for someone on a manager level or executives?
Yes and yes. We have helped people from ICs, individual contributors, a couple years out of school, to C-level executives getting roles as CMOs or chief technology officers at companies. It helps all throughout the gamut. We work with you to understand your strengths and your experience, and then we lean into those strengths. So if you've had senior level leadership, you've led big teams, you've led global teams, we make sure that information is front and center so that people are knowing what value you bring to the table.
Maria asks, given the hiring bias, is it favorable to answer ethnic questions or indicate a disability when applying for a job?
Great question. So in the US and some other jurisdictions, you are asked what race you are, if you have disabilities. That information goes into a separate database that is monitored by the government. Nobody in the decision-making process has access to that. So you should answer that if you want to make sure that it's being captured by the government. But if you don't feel comfortable, you can always choose not to. Once you get into the interview process, once you are talking to humans, that information is not available to anyone interviewing you. Although if you're clearly appear to be a woman or clearly appear to be an Asian person or clearly appear to be pregnant, there's no way to stop a individual from making any unconscious or conscious decisions based on those physical cues.
Would you share any details on how to effectively negotiate RSUs/option grants? When does it make sense to push for more shares versus salary or bonus shares? And you might want to explain okay, yeah, never mind. I'm not sure what the last little comment is, so I'll just stop there.
Okay. Our RSUs and options are different beasts. So RSUs are restricted stock units. Usually when you're hired by a corporate, like a public company, you're going to get restricted stock units that vest over a period of time. I'm not going to go into depth here. We'll probably be doing that at another talk coming up. Options, on the other hand, are typically given for private companies. Options most often outside of very late stage, maybe unicorn companies, are usually going to turn into nothing for you as an employee, unless you're a very high level employee or a founder of the company or a venture investor. So we do generally tend to recommend our clients to focus on established public companies because you do get those RSUs, which contribute significant value. And we do help negotiate that. And a lot of the key strategies of negotiating that is looking at the total comp package holistically. RSUs or options are just a small piece of the puzzle in addition to salary, bonus, sign-on bonus, sometimes retention bonus, relocation bonus, and RSUs are usually some of the easiest things to negotiate for and are undervalued by candidates, but should be highly valued by you because that is how you make a lot of money over the long haul through those restricted stock units.
Alan, the two things actually. So we're at time. Are you okay going over?
I can go over. There's still a couple hundred people here on the call. And as long as people will stay, I have a little bit longer. As long as you have good questions for me. If they're crappy questions, I'm ducking.
Okay, cool. So I just also, on the negotiation, I just wanted to point out that we offer the free
second opinion.
Yeah.
So we do offer the free second opinion. You send it to getacademiccareers.com once you have a verbal offer. Before you have that verbal offer, hopefully you took screenshots of how to deflect, defer, and decline to talk about that compensation, because that will put you in the strongest position Whether you choose to use us, Academic Careers, or negotiate on your own, do not talk about compensation until you get the offer.
Do individuals need to know the role they want and know their company targets before working with us?
Absolutely not. We always ask people for that information, and we often tweak that information because usually actually people are underselling themselves, are not considering companies that they frankly are totally eligible to get into, and are choosing companies based on convenience, not on what are great companies to work for. So you do not need to have that information. And we teach you how to identify that information properly.
Is there any, or Andrew has a question, is there an age ceiling for getting back into the market? And what is the age breakdown in percent of the individuals you help?
I think 110. I think you're probably going to be dead by 110. So we probably don't help there. The oldest person that we've had in our group is 70. The average age, I don't know what the average age is. Our breakdown, like our sweet spot is probably 5 years out of school to 30 years out of 5 years to 30 years of experience is probably our sweet spot. But ageism is something we didn't talk about that much here. Ageism does exist. It works to your advantage as often as it works to your disadvantage. And I can talk about that if people have other questions about that, but we don't have age restrictions, and most companies don't have that as well.
Linda has a question. Do you have references I might contact on personalized coaching, not just testimonials?
So I think I have about 66 recommendations on my LinkedIn profile. They're not all personalized coaching clients, but a lot of them are. And happy to give you those as well. We have a lot of people. You can look up Ashwarya at Amazon. She's one. You can just find her on LinkedIn. But yes, we're happy to give you plenty of references. And also you do get that 30-day money back guarantee. So if we wind up blowing smoke up your tush, you can get your money back, but I can guarantee we're not blowing smoke up anyone's tush.
True that. Donna asks, any tips about negotiating at the top of or salary slightly higher than published salary range in the job description?
Oh God, yeah, we didn't even talk about that. The published salary range. So a lot of jurisdictions require companies to put the salary transparency out on the job description. Just like calorie counts in menus wound up having unintended consequences because people are actually trying to buy the most calories for their dollar, which is not the intent of sharing calories on menus. Compensation numbers on job descriptions is leading to a lot of bias as well, because people are eliminating themselves from their role because they're looking at a range and saying, I'm not within that range, or I'm getting paid too much or too little. Those numbers are bullshit. They're inaccurate. They're not comparable apples to apples by company to company. I know this for a fact. When I was off posting a role at Salesforce for a program manager, and the compensation said 140 to 170, and I knew for a fact that we were going to pay 250 plus all in for this individual. Don't look at those numbers. Instead, look at the companies, look at years of experience, and that will be a much better resource for you than any compensation band in that job description. However, once you get that offer, if that information that company disclosed can work to your favor, that's when that transparent compensation information is valuable.
Next question. In the group coaching, do you guarantee finding a desirable new job just like in the personalized coaching?
We do not guarantee it. We do give you the 30-day money back guarantee, and we will work with you for those 6 months. And you can work with us longer if you want to. We do not guarantee to work with you as long as it takes to get you that job. With the personalized coaching, we pair you with a coach, and that coach is with you guaranteed until you get that better job. Yeah, it's a slightly different program, but both come with a 30-day money back guarantee.
Zach has a question. I'm coming from real estate finance. I'm coming from a real estate finance background and have no idea how to pitch that to tech companies. What should people with non-tech backgrounds do to make a successful pivot?
First off, you don't always need to look into tech. We do highly recommend tech because it pays well, treats people well, a lot of open roles. But if you're in real estate, what was his field again? Real estate, what?
Like real estate finance.
Real estate finance. There's lots of different companies that you can easily pivot into. Zillow, Compass. For finance related things, there's lots of different finance things. Lots of companies also have real estate divisions of managing their portfolio. There's lots of things to do there. I would need to look at your LinkedIn profile, but I bet there's lots of different paths in to lots of different companies. We do that all the time with people. I went from American Express, leading customer success and operations and marketing for selling plastic, selling credit cards, to doing ad tech and customer support and operations at Google. So very different, but I was able to link the operations, people management, and influencing without authority to have that commonality of moving from Amex to Google. And we do that a lot with our clients as well.
Next question. Angela has a question. Do you help software engineers as well? So far, the information seems directed more to non-tech professionals.
So yes, we do help SWEs, software engineers. We are bringing on a SWE coach, but I will tell you that we do not help you focus on your technical skills. What we do is we understand where your strengths are. We help you play to those strengths, get those interviews, get those offers, negotiate that money. We're not going to be the people that are going to help you prepare for lead code interviews, but we will give you plenty of resources there. There's plenty of resources that are publicly available on YouTube and lots of other partners that we work with. And we have actually a partnership with interviewing.io, and we can get you some mock interview practice as well through them.
And how do you recommend someone structure / maximize the questions they ask to a potential employer?
So that's a good question. We didn't talk about it here. Every interview, whether it's a recruiter screen, the hiring manager, or the full loops, has 4 stages. Rapport building, tell me about yourself, questions for you, and we talked a little bit about that with the ChatGPT prompt, and then questions you have for them. You should always be prepared with questions for each interviewer that you're having. And we prepare people with we advise people to have 3 questions at the ready. Have those written down before you even join that call. It does not, that interview, it does not mean that you need to stick to those 3 questions, but you always want to have 3 questions so that when the interviewer flips it back to you, says, hey, Darcy, that's all the questions I have for you. What questions do you have for me? You're not stumbling. And one great question, let me give you 2 great questions here that I highly recommend. At the end of every round of interviews, great question to ask as a last question. Really excited about the role. What are our next steps in timing? That gives you a date to follow up with that recruiter or that individual with once you get to that date. Another great question to ask is, compared to the other candidates that you're considering, where do you see my strengths and what concerns do you have that I can potentially address here? And those questions, both those questions, you can take those and use those all you want.
Those are great questions. The next one I have, Stefan asks, what are common follow-ups for star stories in your experiences?
It depends, but we train people. So that's a great question. We train people for star stories for Amazon and Google, because Amazon and Google, whether you're going into tech or non-tech, are the 2 hardest companies to interview for. And Amazon is notorious for doing the star L, and the L is learning. So the situation was this, the task was this, the action was this, the result was this. You need to have in your back pocket, what did you learn from that? Amazon will often ask you that. Google will as well. Stripe will sometimes. So you need to understand, based on your star story, what did you learn? And that's a critical thing to be prepared for in almost every star story. So we actually work with a lot of clients to develop star L instead of just star stories for a lot of their questions.
What's the L?
L is learning. What did you learn?
Okay, cool. Just checking.
But it's not as nice of an acronym as STAR. So
Yeah.
STAR, yeah. So, but STAR -L, I don't know.
All right, the next one is, most of the examples shared were for tech companies. Would you do this for creative senior roles too?
Yes. We've worked with creative folks that are getting jobs as creative designers, UX designers. Yes. We train for the tech companies. The reason why we focus on the tech companies is most of our clients want to get into tech. Also, tech is still hiring a shit ton of people despite what's in the news. And third, the tech companies interview more than any other company. So we prepare you for the most rigorous interview process. And when you go to other smaller organizations, or maybe like a CPG, a consumer packaged good company, or a design shop or a media agency, the interviews are often a lot less intense and can be influenced a lot greater degree. We're actually a lot more effective. We're really good at getting people jobs in the tech space. We're even better at getting people jobs at companies that don't know how to interview well, because we can effectively game the system, prepare you how to influence that into your favor.
In the past, I tried to deflect and defer, and then I was asked, you should have a salary expectation based on your living standard. How do you deal with that?
I'm curious what company said that. You will get some people that probe deeper, but I can guarantee we've worked with a number of clients. I've used the system myself. If you use those scripts that we showed on the previous slide, and let's see if I can get that slide back up so you can take another picture of it. If you use these scripts, these work all the time. And like, you should go in the order of them. Oh, did I pass it?
You passed it.
Did I pass it? Yeah, here. So if you follow this order, it has never not worked.
Moving on. Elvar asks, is Kadima expert with international talent who accumulated only non-US experiences, but with a US top school degree?
Yes, we work globally. We have clients on 6 out of the 7 continents. If there's any client from Antarctica, we're going to give a special Antarctica discount. We're still looking for our first Antarctica discount. But we do help, and we have different strategies based on the market that you're in. We have coaches all over the world, but also from my experience of hiring all over the world, it's not as different as you think. There's some differences in employment contracts, in probation periods, in questions that can be asked of you. But the interview process, the ability to land that interview, to turn that interview into an offer, to turn that offer into money, is pretty similar across the world.
Do you target specific coaching for product management, program management, etc.? How broad a net could one cast?
So everybody and their mother want to be a product manager. Most people don't even know what the hell a product manager does. And there are not as many product manager roles as all the other roles that the product manager works with, like sales and engineering and marketing and sales and operations and program management. So we do help product managers. We actually get a lot of people product manager roles because everyone wants to get one. But we help you think through, are you best fit as a product manager, a program manager, a technical program manager? They're all slightly different, and we help you to evaluate that, but we also help you to ask the right questions of people at those companies where you want to work that will give you those answers of how best to position yourself.
Vanda asks 2 questions. The first one is, how many people should you reach out to on LinkedIn for an open position on average? And then the second question is, I require a visa sponsorship. I have a lot of companies reaching out asking if I need a sponsorship. After I reply yes, they ghost me. How to overcome this?
So those are 2 very different questions. The first one on how many people I should reach out to. All you need is one advocate within the company. Once you have a true advocate within the organization, you don't need to reach out to anybody else. And we teach you how to get those advocates, and we teach you how to leverage those advocates, and we teach you how to make those advocates effective for you to get your resume viewed by a real human being. And a lot of that occurs before the job is posted. If the job is posted and you're hoping to build an advocate at that point, it's too late. So we teach you how to dig the well before you're thirsty at the organizations where you want to work. In terms of the visa stuff, we do help you with that. I've had lots of challenges with that myself, hiring different talented individuals on STEM-based visa, H-1B visas, OPT visas. I am not an expert on it, but I also understand how confused and confusing it is for companies and how much the rules change, and it might change again in an election year this year. But we work with you on how to position yourself most effectively, how not to opt yourself out. And we generally advise people to have a plan A and a plan B. Plan A is getting a job in the country where they want to work. Plan B is focusing also in getting jobs in countries where they are currently authorized to work. So we do a 2-pronged approach.
Can you provide an example of a cold LinkedIn message that will generate response from someone that you are not connected to and working in a group at a company you're interested in?
Yeah.
And then, Alan, I want to just add really quickly, maybe you could just share a quick overview because we go into this in our next webinar in detail.
Okay. All right. Our next webinar is
Yeah.
going to be about how to leverage LinkedIn to land a
Yes,
lucrative
it's like
livelihood.
the advanced LinkedIn leveraging.
So, quick overview, you want to reach out to someone that has some commonality with you. So in my case, I went to Binghamton University. So I might find somebody, say I wanted to work at Tesla. I don't know anyone at Tesla. I would look for people that went to Binghamton University, now are at Tesla, and there's ways to do that efficiently on LinkedIn. Then I'd reach out, say, hey, Steve, I see you went to Binghamton. I went to Binghamton too. I love connecting with other Binghamton alum. Go Colonials. Or actually, we're not Colonials now. Go Bearcats. And I would send that out to a whole bunch of people at Tesla that went to Binghamton. And I would get some responses from that. And then you warm them up, you nurture them with the goal of having a conversation. And I can't go into depth here just because of the time, but there are methods. We do give those scripts out to our clients as well, which will get you a 25 to 50% response rate. So if you send out enough of those requests, you will get those conversations going, which will earn you referrals. And I got 7 more minutes, Darcy, before I have my next meeting. So you have
Okay,
7
cool.
minutes worth of questions. Make them good ones.
Oh my gosh, I think we have about 6 pages of questions.
Okay.
Next question is, again, it's about compensation. What is the best way to address a recruiter's comment that the midpoint compensation is X and it's likely less than you may have made before, but they didn't share any compensation?
So say, okay, thanks. It's within the ballpark. I'd love to continue the process.
Yeah. So what about preparing for jobs in the banking industry?
We help in the financial service, banking industry. Banking jobs tend to be more relationship driven. So it's even more effective with our program of building those relationships and earning those referrals. Banking, there's some roles that are more relationship driven, and it depends on banking, actually. I don't know if you're talking commercial banking, investment banking, mortgage banking, but in general, financial services tend to be more referral driven.
Next question. I don't have a single sexy name brand or Ivy League school on my resume, but I have solid experience. How can I stand out in this soul-crushing job market?
Soul crushing is a good term that a lot of our clients utilize before working with us. And it's never a pleasant experience, but it will be less soul crushing. There are always things that you have at your disposal. So I'm not sure, I would have to look at this individual's profile, but like the example that I gave before of me going to Binghamton University, and I saw that there was one Bearcat fan there with Jody McKinnon. Go Bearcats. There are ways that you can leverage things that are uncommon commonalities, maybe the location where you're from. Maybe you go to conferences where you see people at, or maybe you're in different groups with people. It could be social groups, it could be religious groups, it could be different groups. So there are ways to build that relationship through these uncommon commonalities. Everybody has interests, everybody has a location, everybody has companies and schools that they've worked with or gone to, and those people are now at companies where you may want to work at.
So Kelly asks, how do we talk about compensation with leveling? I feel like in this current market, I'm getting passed up for jobs since I'm being seen as too expensive. Because I recently graduated with an MBA, making the job search even harder.
Depends where you got the MBA from. All MBAs are not created equal. If you got an MBA from Harvard or Stanford, people are going to think that you're too expensive. If you got an MBA from another school, maybe, I don't know, Notre Dame or Texas, they're not going to think just because you have an MBA that you're more expensive. So all MBAs are not created equal. And the best way to get past that, and like we work with a lot of Googlers that have been laid off and people from Apple and people from Goldman Sachs, which also are known for companies that pay well. There are ways to get past that. And most of the way to get past that is through building those relationships, having those conversations, breaking down those stereotypes that people may have of you by just looking at your resume or your LinkedIn profile for 6 to 60 seconds. And that's all that people are looking at. So if you're hoping to get a job with just someone looking at your resume for 6 to 60 seconds, good luck. It's very hard to do.
And Kelly says it's CBS, which I believe is Columbia Business
School. Yeah. So Columbia Business School is also one, like it's in New York. Yes. So that is one that is hard to navigate, but I had a Columbia Business School MBA and I wound up taking very low paying jobs after I got fired from Google. But I did need to do some convincing. After Columbia Business School, after Google, I needed to convince Andela that I would be excited to be there as a VP of operations, making 1/3 of what I made at Google. Turns out I wasn't that happy there, not because of the comp, but because it wasn't the right fit for me.
All right, let's see here. We have 2 more minutes. Linda, I guess you might get this last question. You mentioned jobs at big companies. Have you also helped candidates land positions within startups funded by top tier VCs?
Yes, totally. And so one thing I didn't share, I'm a former venture capitalist. So like I've had 7 careers. I used to evaluate a lot of deals. I'm not an expert venture capitalist, but I understand how to look and evaluate for good deals. And we help candidates look for startups that are well-funded, that are funded by well-known venture capitalists, that are growing in terms of the size of the round and the money going in and recently funded, and also have good Glassdoor reviews, and also have a good product market fit. So we do help candidates identify that. We just got someone, Monday.com. I don't know if that's still a startup, but we got someone a job at Monday.com. We've gotten people offers at Stripe, gotten people far into interviews with OpenAI, which is, I don't know if you call that a startup or not, but we do help people identify top startups that will help to accelerate their careers.
And also just point out, there's somebody in the program right now that is looking to find a company that is pre-IPO. So we are currently working with people in this demographic.
Yep.
All right, we are at time. Alan, you want to wrap up? And
Yes.
can I just say a quick thank you again before I hand it back?
Yeah, Darcy and Katie, you guys go first, and then I'll play cleanup.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you again for everyone that is here and listening to this on replay. Thank you again for taking the time. And it was an honor to help lift you. And I hope you found it helpful. Katie, any last thoughts?
Just if you have any questions, I hope you reach out.
And then last words from me. It's International Women's Day. Thank women out there. Appreciate them. I'm going to thank my wife later for all the stuff that she's coached me for, supported me on. By the way, she's a hell of a lot more successful than me. If you haven't seen on LinkedIn, she was on fucking Oprah. So here's to all the women out there and Oprah is actually a very impressive woman as well. I think the world's richest woman, I think, last I looked. But before I digress further, hopefully you learned something here. Hopefully you learned that job acquisition is a learnable skill. You do not need to be lost in the shuffle. You do not need to be confused. You do not need to be turned aside. You do not need to be underpaid. There is a better path forward. That's why we built Kadima. That's how we're able to get Darcy and Katie to join the team to focus on our mission here. And we do want to help you. So do reach out, scan the QR code for the personalized coaching or the group coaching. Follow me on LinkedIn. And the last 3 words I'll leave you all with are own your career.